up, my friends, and welcome back to the Sounds of GU podcast. More specifically, welcome to this series with GU alumni that have graduated recently. What can you expect from this series? Well, you get the inside scoop on their experience at GU and how it shaped them to become who they are today. Each alumni has a unique perspective, so I'm so excited for you to hear about GU from all their different angles. You also get to learn about how GU shapes their students for their career after they graduate, not only academically in the classroom, but also in work, family, and societal life. Well, hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Sid, what's up?
Not much, how are you?
I'm good. I'm changing atmosphere currently. Being inside on the desk all day kind of stinks.
Yeah.
So I decided to come outside into nature somewhat. But yeah, I'm good.
So the birds chirping, that'll be a nice background for this.
Exactly. This is nothing artificial, right now, like 5 minutes ago, my neighbor just stopped mowing his lawn. So just in time, hopefully nobody starts mowing their lawn.
Yeah, that's perfect.
We'll see.
We'll cross our fingers. I think we'll be
Exactly.
good.
Hopefully, yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to start by asking you to introduce yourself. This is Michael Gonzalez. But if you just want to tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and your connection to Greenville.
Yeah. As Sydney said, my name is Michael Gonzalez, better known or mostly known by Gonzo on campus and basically anywhere else in the world, I think. But yeah, so I graduated Greenville this past year, not without a ceremony, but I got my degree. It came a little folded, but it's okay. I got the paper. So yeah, I'm a graduate of 2020, born and raised in the city of Chicago. And yeah, I mean, that's who I am. I don't know what else to say.
Do you know your Enneagram type?
I think I took it twice. And I for sure, what is number 2?
Number 2? That's what I am. It's the helper.
Yeah, okay. And then don't you get 2 numbers?
You can get a wing. I'm like
Okay.
right in the middle. So I share a lot of 1 and I share a lot of 3 as well. So you could be a wing 1 or a wing 3.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other one is, but I'm for sure I'm a 2.
That's
I remember
awesome.
that much.
Go 2s. So, I love it.
Yeah, so we like helping then.
2s unite.
Absolutely. Yes. So yeah, I'm a 2, I think.
There you go. You have any interesting facts or hobbies?
Currently not really. I recently posted on Instagram a couple of days ago that I actually like reading. That's something I discovered, especially during this quarantine and everything closing. There's not much to do besides Netflix, and I don't want to be watching Netflix all day. So I've actually started reading a decent amount, which is for me. I mean, obviously you get books in high school and stuff, and they're not as interesting as you would like. And during college, yes, I had to read for class purposes. Right. But now I get to choose a book, so that's I think I'm 3-4 books in this summer.
That's awesome.
And then I'm reading two more currently. So I guess that's my hobby. It's kind of boring.
That's awesome. But... Which 2 are you reading right now?
One's called For the White Folks Who Teach in the Hood. It's about urban education. Okay. As I accepted a job in Chicago public schools, so I need as much preparation for urban education as possible. Yeah. And then the other one is a book recommendation by Kate Arthur from the girls soccer team. She recommended Tales from Many Rivers, I think that's the name of it. And it's basically Hispanic or immigration through poems. So it's kind of neat. Like it's the history of Hispanic immigration in the U.S. through poems. So it's really cool. It's interesting, So I'm barely starting. I think like 15 pages into each, but I'm trying to keep at the same level so I can finish them both at the same time.
Wow.
So yeah.
Props to you for being able to read more than one book at a time. I can't.
It is hard, I'll give you that, but at the same time it's kind of like, you read so much and then you're just like done with one book, so then you just pick up the other one. That's how I take it, at least.
Yeah. That's a good
But
point.
then at a certain point I'm just like, okay, I'm done for today. It's too much reading. Back to Netflix.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I love the hobby. I love reading. I'm going to be an English teacher, so literature is up my alley.
Yep.
Let's flash back a little bit in your life to why you chose the major that you did. So you talk a little bit about education, but you want to expand on that?
Yeah, so it all started in 1997. I'm just kidding. It actually started mid-semester, my freshman year. So actually, when I went to Greenville in 2016, gosh, I feel old. I went in, declared my major as a business major and a minor in digital media. My idea was work for a professional sports team, have the luxuries of, getting a suite, getting to meet the players, traveling, etc. This was my whole mindset. And then during Richard Houston's class, I hope if he hears this, I'm sorry, Dr. Houston. During Core 101, which is now UNIV 101, I kind of doze off a little bit. Not that I do it all the time, but I doze off that time, and I really started reflecting upon my life. I'm just like, okay, what am I gonna really do with my life? And then the idea of education came to mind, and because I started thinking of past teachers that I've had, and I'm like, all right, which was the coolest teacher that I've had up to this point? And the first one that came to mind was my Spanish teacher. And then I started thinking, I'm like, wait, this guy's Irish. He's a Spanish teacher. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican American. I know Spanish already. I can do this. And sure enough, I had his number, so I texted him that day, and I got to call him before soccer practice. We talked for a good 30, 45 minutes. And I told him everything, that what I was feeling and thinking. And he said, do it. He said, dude, you'd be perfect. Your background, you know the language already. You don't have to learn it much.
Yeah.
So sure enough, that's what I did. And I got in contact with Dr. Reinhardt. And we got the ball rolling. And yeah, that's how I got into education, mainly for the purpose of impacting lives, because I knew that in business I would impact lives. But then I'm like, the only one that I'll be benefiting, if I do help benefit this one person, would probably be the CEO. Because if I sell more, if I do this more, then he's gonna profit more. But then I started thinking, okay, if I get into education, then I can, really impact many lives that really need it. And it's all working great so far. As I said, I got a job here in Chicago, and it's in a neighborhood that's much needed, where it's a lot of Hispanic demographic. So I'm super excited because that's me.
Yeah, that's awesome. You bring up the teacher that you had in high school. It's a pretty common thing to have, if you're going to be a teacher, if you want to be a teacher, to have a teacher that impacted you. What was your experience like just with that process of that's so interesting, how you kind of are like, oh, maybe education, and then you think, oh wow, I had this teacher. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk. So you mentioned soccer.
Uh-huh.
What else were you involved on campus? Because I know there was a couple other things you were a part of.
Yeah, a few other things. So freshman year, spring, I got a job, thanks to Marcos Gilmore, to be an academic coach. And then that job led to being a teacher assistant, or TA, again for Marcos, for his Core 101 class. So then I was those two so far. My sophomore year, I started to get more involved with Mosaic Student Association, little by little, not a whole lot, but I got involved in that. And then junior year came, and that was the explosion of me saying yes to everything and saying no to nothing. So that year I started still as an academic coach. Yes, I was still the TA for Marcos. I obviously played soccer, which is the reason why I went to Greenville.
Mm.
Um, then I became the president of Mosaic. I was an RC, or what's known now as an RA.
Mm-hmm.
I taught in the English intensive program, Pathways, a couple classes during my schedule break. So I was a teacher, an English
That's
teacher, I guess,
cool.
back then. Let's see what others. I think that's about it. If my memory serves me right, I think that I hit each one. So I was a lot of things.
Yeah, you had a full plate.
I had a really full plate, but I'll tell you what, during these times, I kind of miss it.
Yeah, me too.
Just sitting on your computer is not the same as, having a meeting in Joe's in 5 minutes
Yep.
and running there and being 10 minutes late, or, this and
Mm-hmm.
that. So, no, it's something I truly do miss.
Yeah, you miss being late to stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Greenville being such a small campus, you're like, I'll be there in 5 minutes or
Yeah.
like in 2 minutes. Then, it's time to go and you're just like, I can run, or, it won't be a big deal.
And
So,
then
yeah.
you run into somebody on your way over.
Yep. And then they start a quick conversation and you're like, oh, I got class. I got to go. Sorry.
Oops.
Yeah. Yep.
Speaking of class, what was your favorite one that you had throughout your 4 years?
That question is good. I don't know. I do know, but I don't know if it's like one particular favorite one. I have terrible memory.
Me
so
too.
it's kind of hard to remember what I did freshman year.
Maybe it's a cute thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I pulled up my transcript a couple of days ago, and I was going through it, and I was like, did I really take this class? Jeez, I forgot I took it. Yeah, that's right. But the most memorable one that comes to mind is the last one that I took in this fall of this last year with Dr. Reinhardt. It was a Spanish class. It was for Don Quixote, which, if you don't know, it's a really hard book to read, like super hard book to read, super old book, super thick book, and it's just very complicated. And I took it because, well, I needed it. So, and he's like, it's gonna be fun. Come on, Joe. He's my advisor also, so I had to be on his good side. And so I signed up for it, and the first thing he said when we got to class, he said, oh, it's gonna be a play. And I was like, what? Like, I'm not an actor here. But then I started thinking, okay, it's gonna be a play, like maybe in class, no big deal. It's just gonna be classmates who watch. But this man went above and beyond. And then a couple weeks later, he says, I've been talking to the art teacher. They're gonna be making costumes and props and this and that. And then he hit us with I forgot the guys from Factory Theater. I reserved it. We're gonna open it up to the community, this and that. I was just like, wait. I told him, I honestly told him, like, Profe, I'm gonna drop out your class. Because now it's a bigger thing. It's not just in class. Now we're opening it to the community. I don't want to do this. And all along, we were reading the book and understanding it, and because we had to write the script for it. So we basically had to take this very complex text, write it into a more modern version that we can perform.
Wow.
Now thinking about it, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And still practice. We had like a couple rehearsals at the Factory Theater. And the day came and we did it. And it was great. Like, aside of me getting over my own comfort or discomfort of performing in front of people as an actor, I actually understood the book. That was one of the coolest things, is, especially as a Spanish teacher, being able to see that, it's not just about like grammar and, the boring stuff. To actually understand the language, if you actually, like, if there's a purpose behind it, you'll get it. And so, yeah, like, that class was cool. Nothing against Dr. Nava, Mauricio Nava. He's awesome. But that class was really cool. Again, I didn't like it at first because I how to perform,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed it because I actually learned, the book and to understand Don Quixote in the way that I do now.
Mm.
It's thanks to being an actor in his
Mm-hmm.
class.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's a lot to finish, to rewrite it, learn the script, perform it, learn all of that. That's a lot to do within one semester.
It was a lot. It was,
What made
but it
you
was
stick
cool.
with it? Like you mentioned you were about to drop out. Like what motivated you to keep going?
I think the respect I have for Dr. Reinhardt, he was super excited for it. He put so much work into it. And if I would have been like, what, I'm done, then that would maybe encourage others to drop out as
Mhm.
well. And, I didn't want that. And
Yeah.
I'm glad I stuck with it. I'm happy. I don't regret it. So yeah, it probably most likely was that. I don't want to hurt his feelings. Um, but I'm glad I did it. Like
Yeah.
I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I even said it at the end of the play. We had a little Q&A, and it was an awesome experience, awesome class, and I hope he continues doing it.
Hmm. What's your relationship like with Dr. Reinhardt?
It's great. That's the thing about Greenville, and you know this. The relationships you build, it's what you take away. Yes, you get a degree, right? Yes, you get a paper that says you have a bachelor's and whatnot. But I have the paper hanging, cool, but it's the text messages that I get, every day, every other day from people from Greenville. Hey, how are you doing? Just checking in. Have you found a job? What can I help you with? Those things are the ones that I cherish more. So with Reinhardt, it was great. I actually was the first student to do the Chicago semester, which I highly encourage you to do it as a teacher,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically living in Chicago for a semester and teaching in Chicago public schools to complete your student teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and during the whole process, Dr. Reinhardt was super supportive, as also, Dr. Lisa Amundsen, Dr. Larissa Malone, you know, Dr. Kathy Taylor, they were all like invested in getting me here.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point that Dr. Reinhardt actually came out here to visit,
Wow.
it's crazy. I thought maybe he has a purpose to, come to Chicago to, maybe watch a Cubs game or something.
He is a big
Uh,
Cubs
he is
fan.
a big Cubs fan. But no, this man drove all the way out here and literally just to watch me 45 minutes teach. And
Hmm.
it wasn't even a lesson that involved a lot of me in it. It was more student led, so it was more group work and whatnot. And I was just walking around in the groups, and he sat there and he was just super happy and seeing me.
Oh.
And we went out to get lunch, after class, and we went to this Mexican restaurant, and we sat there. We talked more, and then we got in the bus. I mean, in his car, and he's all like, "You want me to drop you off at the train station?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So he dropped me off at the train station, and I'm like, "So where are you heading now?" Like, he's all like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go buy some. I think he's gonna go like Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that, and then I'm heading back." And then I was like, "Wait, you really just drove from Greenville all the way up here to watch me teach, right? Because I wasn't really teaching. I guess I was teaching, but for 45 minutes, have lunch with me, drop me off at the train, go buy some sports stuff that you want, and then head back to Greenville for 4 hours, like all in one day."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, like that meant a lot for me.
Yeah, I bet.
And so it was great. It was great. Yeah, and the relationship I have with him still, he was one of my references for this job that I got in CPS. So he's been checking in on me. And I know that we'll continue talking even as years progress.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool. So
Mm-hmm.
cool. He really cares. That's
He
awesome.
does. He does. A lot of professors in Greenville really care.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. That's why they're there. Like that. That's something I can't argue with. Like, they're there
Yeah,
for that.
it's awesome. So talk a little bit about where you're now. Like you said, you got a job. What's that process been like? And what you've been up to this summer?
Yeah. So It's been a crazy summer. We all know that.
For all of us.
For all of us. So initially I wanted to, visit a friend in California, and I wanted to go to Mexico to visit family, and then, it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And so those plans all got canceled. But thankfully, it really, made me sit down and settle in and be like, okay, I'm no longer going back to Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
This is adult life. I need to start looking for jobs. And so that was most of my summer. That's what it's been. Early on, I started applying at a job in a suburb, northwest suburb of Chicago. And I interviewed, and I really thought I was a good fit, but I didn't go for me. So no hard feelings. But I'm glad, because it all worked out. I really, really, really wanted to teach in Chicago public schools, not only for the need, but they also offer a lot of benefits to teachers to further their education, which is something that's important for me. And so that was basically every day opening up the job list and applying for jobs. That was most of it until I hit the job, and then I interviewed, and it worked out. And so now all I've been doing is taking a bunch of seminars and webinars and whatever other cool names they call these things. Or I just sit on my computer and take a bunch of notes, because with the uncertainty going on right now, are we going to reopen? Are we going to do hybrid? As a first-year teacher, like, that's stressful.
Very. I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's super stressful. It is, but then it's also like very comforting to know that there's teachers who have been teaching for like 10, 15 years, and they're starting from zero now, because we're going into hybrid, or we're going into remote learning again. It's all learning. It's all new for everyone. So it's kind of nice, but it's also very stressful, because I haven't gotten to feel what it is to have my own classroom, and now I'm going to have my own classroom virtually. Like it's just weird. But yeah, that's what most of my summer has been. Securing a job, and then preparing for it. Like, I know a lot of people say teachers have summers off and vacation and whatnot, but I mean, this is a reality. It's most teachers. I mean, I go into these webinars and seminars, and there's hundreds of teachers nationwide that are on there, just trying to learn as much as they can to prepare. And so it's nice. It's nice to see that I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But it's also the reality. It's gonna be an interesting start of the school year.
So has your school decided to go all online for this semester?
So it's a district decision so far. That's what they've said. And just last week they announced their framework for Chicago Public Schools, which is the third largest school district in the nation. So it's a pretty big deal.
Yes.
And they decided that as of now, with the numbers that we currently have, we're going to be doing hybrid, which is cool. I had that experience during my student teaching, because mid-semester I had to go into remote learning.
Yeah.
But that's the decision they have now, excuse me, to go hybrid, 2 days in person, 2 days online over the computer. It's optional also. Like, if parents just want to do remote learning, that's an option as well. But it's all very vague. It's all very, new. I don't know how else to put it. It's not that detailed. And next week they're going to start doing like community meetings where people can virtually log in and express their concerns for their kids or whatnot, teachers as well. So it's all very new. Like, they haven't said it as of now. We're going hybrid, but they said it could change depending on how numbers go. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. In any moment, it's insane. Oh, but yeah, that's interesting. Hybrid is a very new concept that is even more interesting and complicated, I think, than just going all online. So as a teacher, you kind of have to prepare for both. Ugh, stressful.
Exactly. You have your plan for whatever you're going to do in person and all these cool activities and whatnot. And then you go, oh, we're hitting remote, and then you got to change some way, shape, or form all that into remote, and it's hard. It was one of the toughest things that I experienced with student teaching here. It was just like, I left school on a Friday. As I was on the train, I get the text, hey, they're going remote learning starting Tuesday. You guys are not allowed in the building on Monday because there was only essential people there. So I was like, crap, like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
But I snuck into the building. I hope I don't get arrested for this. But anyways, I snuck into the building. I grabbed all my stuff, all my plans, everything that I needed. Basically, just emptied my desk, and I brought it home, and that's how I finished my year. Was remote, which was weird because I'd be wearing like shorts and kind of a nice sweatshirt and maybe a hat on. I was just super casual with my kids. I wasn't like suit and tie type of stuff. I was just like chilling.
Yeah. That's funny. How do you there's really, this question has a whole new level of complexity to it, because the question's how did you prepare you for this, but your experience, like, we didn't know that this was going to happen, so I guess attempt to answer that question.
Yeah, how did you prepare me for this? The biggest thing I'll say is relationships. Again, not only between faculty and students, but in our education classes, you'll learn that relationship is truly the key to success in education. And so that's what I'm trying to set up right now is, you're here to teach a subject, but the most important thing is you're here to teach a kid. And so that's what I've learned in GU while I was there is to focus on the kid as a whole, not just on whatever you're teaching subject matter wise. And so during these times, and honestly, I guess what did really prepare me was GU allowing me and working with me to get to Chicago to complete my student teaching here, because the experience I got through the Chicago semester program was I can't put a value to it, because I actually got to experience what it is to remotely teach in Chicago public schools. So I think that was the biggest thing with the current times, that has been the biggest lesson I've learned. But overall, I mean, just being passionate about what you do, finding your purpose. You were uniquely made to shape the world. Finding that, what was it that you're shaping? And that happens through conversations and relationships. And so that's what I take away from it. That's what's preparing me to continue. Because I know my purpose. I know what I'm going for, especially during these times more than ever. Like I'm going for it. So
Was your semester, so was it a whole semester in Chicago, or just part of your student teaching was in Chicago?
No, it was a whole semester.
Okay.
Yeah, I started January 16th and it ended May 1st. But March 13th happened, and we went to remote, but it was the whole semester. Nice.
Yeah. So, talking about your college experience, was there anything that you'd go back and do differently?
I as I read this question, I was thinking about it. I'm like, maybe, but then I'm just like, no. Yeah. I went into everything knowing that I wasn't gonna regret it, and that I was gonna go with it, and this was it. It was meant to be, and it was gonna happen and whatnot. I wouldn't change it. Absolutely not. I'm happy where I'm at now. Obviously, I'm the man that I am today because of what I lived and experienced while at GU. So yeah, I don't think I would change it. Absolutely not.
Awesome. That's just perfectly fine. There's a lot of different traditions we have at Greenville. What's your favorite?
I haven't talked much about soccer, but I think one of the coolest things, as a freshman when I was in Greenville, the very first soccer game that I played was the Alumni Game, which I still get to be a part of. So I think that's one of the coolest things is not only as an alum now that I can go back and kick the butts of the younger guys, but the fact that during that, game, my freshman year, that was the first game I actually played, and I saved the penalty kick in that game, which for me, that's special.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's going to, having the stands being packed, having dinner being out there on the field. So, it's basically the whole school there is watching you. The band is playing during the whole game. The atmosphere is great. The competition is even better because you're playing old men. Even Coach Mo got out there this past one. Yeah, he only lasted like 2 minutes and he needed a water break, but he participated. So, being able to see that, you're a part of not only the current 4 years that you're there as a soccer player, but the fact that you're there and a part of a tradition, of many, many, many years, and that you have that one thing that connects you with, alum. And it's like, hey, you're part of this family, GU men's soccer family. And so that's the coolest tradition I've experienced there. And I'll always be a part of, thankfully, because as an alum, I'll be back.
That's so cool. That's awesome. What was it like being on a sports team? Like, talk about soccer.
It was hard. It was good hard though. Don't get me wrong. Coach Chris, I love you, man. Nothing against soccer, but it was hard. It's a very different, and this, you're a basketball player. It's very different than high school. And that was one of the things that hit me right away. It was like, okay, this is at a much higher level, so much more time consuming, but it was fun. And it's all worth it. And I wish I would do that again. But that was one of the things, waking up for weightlifting in the morning, having to watch what you eat, and, having a team that's always like on you, roommates who are teammates and you see them 24/7, traveling. That was one of like the biggest shockers that I had, because when I was in high school, I was blessed enough that in my high school, we did a varsity trip each year. So my junior year, we went to Minnesota to play a high school there. And then my senior year, we went to Ohio, and both of the trips are fun. We bring the Xbox and whatnot, and, stay up all night, eat chips and stuff, and once you got to college, my first trip was up here in Michigan to play Alma, and I forgot what other team. And instead of, bringing the Xbox or whatnot and the snacks, like everybody was bringing their books and their homework and their computer, and everybody just sat there doing homework. And I was just like, wow, like this is completely different.
This is college.
This is college. Like these guys are going to be doctors and engineers and dentists, and, like this is cool.
Yeah.
But it also kind of, as a freshman, I was like really looking forward to play video games and stay up late and whatnot. But no. That's not possible in college, but it was super cool, super cool, to be able to be a part of the team, all 4 years, not finding that I'm actually a person that's truly a part of it, not just saying it, but you're an individual that matters in the team. That was huge, and it was great to be able to go play in the NCAA tournament my junior year. Being conference champs, like all that, like it's just something that no one will ever be able to take that away from me. So
that's awesome.
If you have the chance if you're listening, you have the chance to go play college anything, do it. Yes, it's gonna be hard. Yes, it's gonna suck. Yes, you're gonna have to wake up in the morning and go run or whatnot, but it's something that at the end of the day, you'll miss it, and you won't regret it.
Yeah, hard but worth it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What's a memory that you have from your time at Gonzo that you'll never forget?
Oh boy. Here we go with the memory stuff, Sid. So you have bad memory.
You remembered the alumni game your freshman year, so
yeah.
If it's important, you'll remember, right?
You're right. I want to say soccer again. And I'm not just saying it just because to piggyback with what I said at the last, but during my junior year, when we went to that national tournament, the biggest challenge that I faced there was being called in to save penalty kicks, and having the pressure of the world basically on my shoulders of like, hey man, you got this. And like I said it when I spoke in chapel, like outside I was super chill, super cool, but inside I was like, my heart was beating, I was going crazy, like what if I don't stop any, or but the support that I had, and one thing I remember is, right before I went out to the goal, Dr. Ben Wayman was there, and I asked him, I'm like, hey Ben, do me a huge favor, man, pray for me, and sure enough, right there on the spot, as I was going in, he prayed for me. It was a super short prayer, but it was like something I'll never forget. And I went out there, and after that, I was just like, I got this. Like,
That's awesome.
It's all gonna work out. And then later, I find out that someone on our bench wrote on the glass, "It's in God's hands." I don't know who it was, but the picture was, of the team huddled up right before PKs in the background, and then on the bench, it's there. It says, "It's in God's hands." And after that, seeing the picture, once we were celebrating, at the restaurant, seeing that picture and thinking, Ben prayed for me, and it got done.
So cool.
I think that was one of the coolest memories. Is like, yeah, it really is in God's hands. Everything is in God's hands. So why are we worrying about it? You know, we got to live life every day, day by day. At the end of the day, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. The man above knows. So that's my spiel there with my favorite memory.
That's awesome to have a professor that will pray over you like that. That's really special.
Yeah. And Ben is one of many, Dr. Faith Nava too. Like, there would be times where I'll be struggling, during school, and it'd be 11 o'clock at night, and she'd shoot me a text, and she'd be like, "Hey, are you okay? I was praying for you, and your name came up, and can I help you with something?" Oh my God, like, this is crazy. Like, yes, Faith, let's talk. The whole Nava family was huge for my years in Greenville. They were my parents away from home. So and that's awesome. That's crazy to say that, like, they're my professors, but the fact that now I see, like, that's who they really were in my time in Greenville, and the fact that till this day they are still a huge part of me today, like, that's neat.
It's really cool. One last question. Advice for students. What piece of advice would you share after experiencing it all?
One piece of advice.
Or a few, if you want to sprinkle those in.
a little more. I think, and this is contrary to what I was told when I was saying yes to everything my junior year. But say yes. Don't say yes and don't regret it. Like, because at the end of the day, like, that was one of the biggest things, that when I was saying yes to everything, people would be like, "Hey, are you going to be able to handle this? You should say no." Which, yes, there needs to be limits, don't get me wrong, but my response was always, listen, I'm gonna go for it. If I can't do it, then I'm obviously gonna say no to some things, but I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna try it out and see what happens, because you won't really know what's gonna happen until you do it. And that for me, that was kind of like Greenville. I'm a first generation college student, and I was supposed to go to Greenville with 4 friends, and I was the only one that went. I mean, one joined me for a year later, but then left. But if I would have said no, I'm not sure, then I wouldn't be standing here, right, or sitting here right now, talking to you about my experience. So I said yes, and I committed to it, and I said, I'm not going to regret this, and sure enough, here I am. Awesome. 4 years later, a couple pounds more, better looking, but I'm here.
That's awesome. Well, Gonzo, I really appreciate your story. And I know, like, we knew each other a little bit while you were here on campus, and I just know you had a huge impact on this campus while you were here. So I appreciate you being on today, and I'm
Thank you.
Thankful that our paths crossed through GU. And I know this is going to be helpful and inspiring and encouraging to some students out there. So I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sid, for thinking of me.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Bye.